Hey, this is Dr. Paul Dyer. Welcome to Bridges Live, and I have Miss Pamela Lue Hing, right?
Lue Hing.
You know, and I've lived in China, and you got to help me here.
Okay.
Because you must get it all the time. Like, you don't look like a Lue Hing.
Right? I don't look like a Lue Hing. Matter of fact, I'll tell you a funny story, then I'll tell you the origin. So I was in the store one day, and it was back in the day when we wrote checks. Remember that day?
No, I try to forget. That was so long ago. Wow. Yeah.
Right. So, and then they asked for your driver's license, so I showed my driver's license, and the woman literally, she looked at me, and she was a black woman. She looked at me, and she looked at my license. She looked back at me, and she's like, okay, now tell me what's up. I've been in military. And you got hazel eyes. You look like you're black, but you have this Chinese last name. So tell me what's going on. So my former husband was Chinese Jamaican, and I didn't realize that years ago Chinese migrated to Jamaica.
Yes. Do you know why?
I don't know why.
It was the cane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah. Well, it's just because when black people go to China. Mm-hmm. Chinese people always want to tell us, blacks, about why they came to other foreign lands and the reasons why. And I didn't know that either. I mean, I've seen some Chinese people in Jamaica, but it's so few and far between. But it was not just to open up a Chinese restaurant.
You were a comedian, Dr. Dyer. You're kind of funny, but you know, you got another job you're not telling us about.
Well, because most people, I've traveled a lot of places in the United States, and everywhere I've always been, there's three things you'll find: a post office, a bar, a church, and definitely a Chinese food restaurant.
That's it.
And you wonder,
right.
And you wonder why, like, how did they pick here to open up a Chinese restaurant? Like, is it like a map in Beijing? Like, we need these spots open. You can go here. and the government would fund it the whole bit, right? We'll send the whole family. So we're very much we're always concerned about how they got to be in this area, so that's pretty neat.
Yes. So Chinese grandfather and African American mother, of course. So very nice blend.
So let me. There's something I'm not. I apologize. Hold on. There. So, I apologize, but thank you for everyone for listening to Bridges Live. I'd like to thank all my listeners and all my sponsors who like to sponsor me in Bridges Live. Who like to donate. You can always donate, because without donations and helping us fund, not me, myself, but I like to give to a lot of charities. But I'd like to thank Pamela for coming on. But Pamela, please introduce yourself to Bridges Live community, and then we'll get right into the meat of the conversation.
Well, great evening, everyone, to all of the listeners out there, and to Dr. Dyer. Again, I want to thank you for having me on this evening. And as a result of my entrepreneurial jumpstart programs, my clients really learn how to identify their target market. They learn how to market and sell their products and services, and they learn how to put systems and processes in place to optimize their performance in business.
So for people who are just not as smart as you are you trying to make people richer?
I'm trying to help people become more fulfilled and get rich at the same time, right? Because money money without fulfillment is just money, right?
Right.
But we have to really tap into our existence and why we're here. You know, what's our purpose? And once we identify that and identify our values, because I think all too often we stray away from our core values.
Amen.
And when we do that, we are out of alignment, right?
So and I love talking about alignment and purpose and intentional action, because, and I know people hear it and it becomes like this beating drum that is persistent. And still, as you know, every time you get a new client, they're not getting it. What is it that they're missing? What is it? I mean, it's like the warning label on cigarettes. You mean like you didn't know it was going to cause cancer? I mean, like, how did you not know now? I mean, I can see 30 years ago when you were writing checks.
Writing checks. You're not going to let me live that down. I'll be back tonight.
But now, how do you not know you have to optimize and do, like, and I'm not saying people need to know how to do it, because there's a lot of things I don't know how to do, and I seek help. So what is it that they're missing still?
What is it that they're missing in turn? Are you saying that or suggesting that they are not focused on purpose? Help me clarify your question for me just a little bit more.
When you talk about optimizing what they need to do and finding their performance, they still don't. They probably look at you like a deer in headlights. Like what?
Well, a lot of times people know not what they know not. They know that a lot of my clients that come, they have an idea, right? But they're just not sure how to connect those dots.
Good.
And so that's what I do. I help people connect the dots.
So what are those dots that most clients normally miss?
The systems and processes.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
So they know they want to, build or grow palm trees. Okay, I want a field of palm trees. I want to plant them and I want to sell them. And that's their vision, right? So they can see these palm trees, but what's the process? Do I need licensure? And then, how many people do I need on my staff to help me plant these palm trees?
Right.
And forecasting, financial forecasting. And then how does this align with what is this going to do for you when you plant the palm trees? So you get your palm trees, but where are you in the sea of the palm trees, right?
Right.
What has this done for you financially? And then in terms of your fulfillment as a person, what are you contributing as a whole to the community and to the world at large?
So as you help them not grow and not find their purpose, but now understand, and this is what I like to do by bridges. This is the part of the information and the lack of understanding that most of us don't have when it comes to something, and this is part of that something. After they get the understanding, then what's the action for them?
So once they get the understanding, typically during my courses, what I do is I give assignments, right? So once they get the understanding,
wait a minute, you give homework?
Dude, they get homework, Dr. Dyer, right?
You must be talking to people that are 40 and older.
That's who I'm talking to. Those who are 40 and older. You got it. That's my target market. Women.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because anyone else, they were like, homework? They're like,
Yes, but we have to remember anything worth having is worth working for.
I agree.
And we've got to put the energy behind what we say we want to have, or else we won't get it.
Right.
So
you give them the homework, you give them an assignment. They do it.
They do it.
They bring it to you.
So yes, and so what happens is I assign accountability partners, and so they work together to get their assignments done. And then I also have a private Facebook group where they post these assignments. So
you're really getting them to, like you said, it's about working for what they're working. It's about them understanding what they're working for.
What they're working for in terms of their business,
right? So they have the vision, but now you're getting the dirt. You're getting them to actually put their feet and hands in the dirt to understand what it takes to grow it.
That's it. Build it and grow it and create it. Like I said, a lot of people just have an idea, but it's like, well, how do I make it happen? They don't know the resources, especially with social media. And so my focus primarily is women 40 years and older who are transitioning from traditional careers into entrepreneurship.
Oh, God bless you. You know that I mean, it's like a fun fact that Mary Kay is like the #1 women-owned business, right, in the world. Isn't that still it or something?
Well, I was with Mary Kay.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I was a director for about 10 of those years. That's where I truly learned a lot of what I know today. and she was an incredible businesswoman, right? But
Okay.
her company is stellar in terms of what they teach, personal development, professional development,
Okay.
and business development.
So now the question I have, how did you get from, where did you start from, and how did you get here? And I have, and if you didn't know, if you probably didn't know, most people know in Bridges Live, if you know, I have 7 daughters. So having 7 daughters is, people say, well, there's all kinds of passion I have burning in my life, but I want you to talk directly to women about the things that, because they're very strong in a lot of things, but they don't ask enough questions. Is that true?
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
Maybe it's not so much they don't. Well, I guess maybe they don't ask the questions, or they don't know the right questions to ask. Maybe that's more of the issue. But I guess the bottom line is, yeah, we do need to ask more questions.
So, how is as they transition from one to the other, are they finding themselves to be that much brighter? Are you seeing that more? So,
well, you asked me a couple questions. You asked, how did I get from there to here?
Yeah.
And then what am I finding? So if I can go back to that question, I'll answer that, and then I will parlay into what I see today. Oh, is that all right?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, and born and raised, right? And I had been downsized 3 times. And so that third time, and it wasn't you're fired, it was literally the first 2 times, it was we're closing this department effective immediately for both of them. And then the third was I developed this department. I held this department down for 6 months, and a new VP came in, and about 5 months later, due to economic conditions, we're going to have to let you go. So, and I was working 12, 14, 16, 18-hour days. I developed a department at a college, and the president had severed a relationship with a third-party company that was responsible for the marketing, recruitment, and enrollment of the students with no plan in place. And I saw that as an opportunity. So I put my name in it and in the hat. I developed an organizational chart and then the organizational developmental plan, and they accepted it. So that's what I was doing when they said, due to economic conditions, we're going to have to let you go. So they gave me severance. They gave me, the outplacement counselor. And the interesting thing, Dr. Dyer, is this. I went to see the outplacement counselor, and she said to me on the first day, in the first 30 minutes, she said, why are you seeking employment? You should be doing your own business. You should be teaching others what you do and how you do it.
Was she black?
She was white. She was an elderly white woman.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And so, with that, I had already begun to think about coaching and counseling. I actually was at Christian counseling. And then I settled on Christian coaching. So I went into a Christian coaching certification program, received that and the certification. And then I also became, I don't know if you're familiar with DISC, D-I-S-C.
No. What is that?
Okay. It's a behavioral assessment tool. It teaches you about your personality traits and how it impacts communication with others, and you learn the differences in personalities.
Well, which is funny because I'm a Jungian type studier, so most people don't know. You probably know who Carl Jung is, right? Jung.
Carl Jung.
Yep. I that's where my psychology comes through. I'm more like most. I'm a Jungian, so I understand like traits and theory. So yeah, it's neat.
Okay, yeah. So I have my certification in that. I combined that, and then I started writing my book. And so my book is Pink Slip to Powerhouse: 12 Steps to the Next. And so that was birthed again out of my experiences of being downsized those 3 times.
Okay.
And so I just have a passion for women who know that they have something inside of them, and even some who don't, but say, you know what, I have an idea that I've been thinking about, right? And I just don't know how to make it happen. And so my book is divided into 3 sections. The first is, I've lost my job, now what is it that I do, right? The second is moving from employee to employer, right? So you have been working for someone else, now you're going to be your own boss. What is it going to take to make that happen? And then lastly, powerhouse in motion. Now that I've decided I want a business, I'm ready to plant those palm trees. Now, how do I make that happen?
Now, I got one. Let me look. I'll tell you the back thought end of my question. There's a lot of black women who don't know how to work for themselves. That's my back end question. But what's the demographics of women that are trying to do this more so than others that you found?
So I am finding that more black women are seeking self-employment every day.
Okay.
They, like you said, they just need the tools and the know-how to make that happen.
Okay.
Especially if they've been employed for several years, I'm talking 10, 20 years in a company. And a lot of what I find is the fear of the unknown. And that security blanket, because they're accustomed, of course, to getting that paycheck every week or every other week.
And depending on it.
And depending on it, building their homes around it. And there's one thing, Dr. Dyer, that I always train my children. I have 2 children, a son 28 and a daughter 16. And one thing that I learned early from my mom worked for 18 years at a grocery store, making $10 an hour, and she put me through private schools for 12 years and then to college on $10 an hour.
And you wonder how she did it, but she did it.
But she made it happen.
Yes,
she made it happen.
Absolutely.
And after 18 years, Dr. Dyer, they let her go. Not only did they let her go, they went bankrupt. So they let everybody go, right?
Okay.
But I thank God for her foresight in going to cosmetology school, so she started doing hair, right, and to make ends meet. So I saw what happened to her, and I saw the devastation of counting on that paycheck, right? And I said, I'm going to teach my children that, you're going to go to college, you're going to get your degree. My son has a degree in psychology and business, but you're going to also go on to be an entrepreneur. You're going to utilize the skills and talents that God has given you, and you're going to share your services and gifts with others, and you're going to make money. So they're both doing that, and I'm very proud of that.
That's just, and that's, ultimately why Bridges Live, why I do what I do, is to get this information to those listeners, so it's like a recurring commercial. You can, you're able, you can, you're able, you have the choices, here are the tools, you can. It's like this, I want this beating drum to keep going because we are entrepreneurs. People are entrepreneurs. We're not made to be the worker bees. I was going to say slaves.
well, okay.
I mean, and we have this passion. All people have this passion to be productive and be purposeful. And when you work for someone else, there's a couple things that gets taken away from you. One, purpose. And that will drain a life out of you like nobody's business. Coming home from a place that doesn't allow you to have a purpose and to come home to a family that gives you purpose, you'll take everything out of it. And I think what you're doing is allowing them to have purpose out here, and then coming home and to have that rejuvenation of, I have purpose and a passion, and now I'm going to have explosion. It's amazing.
Yeah, and just learning. And, Dr. Dyer, I will not negate the fact that, when you work for someone else, of course, there's security in the paycheck, right? Security as much as you can't have it.
Right? And until.
Right, until. But the other thing I will say that's a positive for working for someone else is you learn what to do and then what not to do.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And so for those who are still working for others, kudos to you, because guess what? You got to go in there and you got to give it your best until that day, whether either they say goodbye or you decide to walk away. And until that time, this is the time that you begin to make a game plan. And you begin to keep your eyes open. And I have this saying that says, train your eyes to see beyond what's in front of you and discipline your mind to seize each moment. Wow.
Say that again and slow it down. That was amazing.
Okay. So train your eyes to see beyond what's in front of you. So there are things going on around you that if we don't stay focused and train our eyes to see those opportunities, they'll pass us by.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then discipline our minds to seize each moment. And with that, so many times we miss the boat because we're not focused on our personal development, on opportunities, and really just looking for the next. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we can become stagnant. We have the tendency, and it's just our comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. It's just a comfort zone to accept things status quo, right?
Right.
But we've got to really discipline our minds to say, I got to focus on, I know that that's an apple, but look beyond and say, okay, but if I cut that apple and I cut several apples, I can make an apple pie with that apple.
That's right.
And then if I make enough of them, I can sell those apples. You understand what I'm saying?
I do, and then see the seed in the apple. I mean, I totally resonate with what it means when you said see beyond with your eyes. You know, we get so stuck in, because I teach martial sciences, martial arts, and a lot of all the martial arts I teach, when it gets to beginning belts, I ask them to see what's inside themselves. But when I'm teaching adults who has been studying a long time, they've been so focused on the physical that they've lost the vision of seeing beyond what their eyes can see. And so when I take away what their eyes have saw in physical form, they lose all their abilities in what they used to have. And they're so complex. They're like, what has happened? I used to be able to. I said, but remember, I'm taking away 3/4 of everything you depended on and what you constructed yourself to see in your ability. Now I need you to see past that. And that breaks them down to like, man, I've been doing this, and I never want to say they've been doing it wrong. I just teach it differently. And so because I never want people think, oh man, I've been living a wrong life, and now, you know, because then you start beating yourself up into this other thing, and I don't want you to beat yourself up. I want you to live a life. And and that's what you're doing. You're teaching them how to live passionately with getting the seeds in the dirt and growing. That's awesome.
That's it. It's all about being intentional, right?
Yeah.
Being intentional.
So now I'm going to ask the woman, you, what's the flaw in me not doing? You know, when you see a woman in the class or in the field and you say, they just look like they're being beaten. What's going on?
There are several things that could be going on. The first thing I would say is that we are in a society, what we call now a microwave society.
Okay, yeah.
And where everybody wants it now, right? And everything is so fast. Social media has captivated us to the point where you know, we hardly pick up a book because we're so fascinated with Facebook, or we're so fascinated with Instagram and what we see other people doing, right? And so we can get lost in all of that if we're not careful. So I think that social media has a place in that. I also believe that many people don't understand value, their own value.
Okay. You know, I have a theory of why they don't see their value. When you're talking to those people, those said people, what is some of the incidents that you've understood from what they have said why they have not seen their value?
So, life's experiences.
Okay.
You know, they've gone through life's experiences, and something has rocked them to their core, and it has diminished, or what they feel has diminished their value, right? And so then I come along and I identify their value. I identify the brilliance inside of them, their gifts and their talents. And then I really help them to identify their core values, because we all have core values,
right,
whether we recognize them, whether we operate in them or not. But we've been raised with some type of core values that are important for us, right? And so I find that many times some stray away from those. And they can become consumed with the microwave society. They become consumed with their life's experiences, and they lose sight of their dreams, and they lose sight of, they lose sight of their dreams. I guess that's the easiest way to say it.
When we give lectures and when you talk about people working for companies. And I hope when I do lectures at companies, I always talk to HR and vice presidents, and I say, I hope you see the people that work for you. They're like, well, hopefully that they, after your lecture or your webinar or your web or your seminar, that we all get to understand what you're talking about. Because I said, if you see your employees and they see you, they would work that much harder.
Yep. That's it.
And when I talk to a person, I say, if your employer does not see you, they will never see you. And you have to see you. And there goes that same thing you said about the vision. See past it. And maybe you're just going to have to leave this place at a certain time and say, you know what? I'm done.
That's it. Dr. Dyer, it's very interesting that you say that, because I have a presentation this coming Saturday on emotional intelligence. And so as I've been preparing for that and doing some studying and some reading, I found it very interesting that about 70% of companies are investing dollars in emotional intelligence training, EQ training. And in my research, it was saying that empathy is that number one area that they feel that companies need to work in to understand, to better understand and better relate to their teams.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And it's so important.
Here's another crazy statistics. Transportation companies have acknowledged in their training that 94% of accidents is caused by emotional deficiency.
Wow.
So they specifically studied why accidents happen, because that's their job. They're either trucking, whatever it is they do. 94% of accidents is caused by emotional deficiency.
Wow. And that goes back to your earlier question about what did I think was happening. And so I was going to allude to emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And our need to strengthen ourselves in those areas. And so if we can even talk about the root cause of that, I think that a lot of opportunity surrounds people understanding, first of all, their DNA and their families and what they grew up in.
Yep.
Because we allow what happened to our grandparents or parents, or how they interacted with other people, how they interacted with us. We allow that to, of course, shape and form our ideas on how to interact with others.
Absolutely.
Good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, right?
Yep.
And so I think that's where the beginning, because number one with EI or EQ, emotional intelligence, it's self-awareness. Being aware of, our background, and how does that background impact us?
Because it is impacting. Doesn't matter where you think it is.
Right.
It is.
Right.
Not knowing what it is really causing damage. We know it. So even if you take those 3 steps, it's already impacting your life.
Yep. That's it.
If you don't know, it's causing damage. If you do know, you can understand how to correct it or to develop a different strategy around it.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. I like that. So how can people get a hold of you? What, because people need you. We know that. I know that.
Yeah, so people can get a hold of me by going to powerhouseinmotion.com. That's powerhouseinmotion.com. They can also follow me on Instagram at Lue Hing. That's PLUEHING. And I also can be found on Facebook as well as LinkedIn under Pamela Lue Hing.
Okay. Now, do you get a lot of good contacts from the social media, or is it always when people see you in person or hear you like this or hear in the radio?
It's a combination thereof.
Okay.
And it's a combination. Word of mouth is, of course, huge when it comes to marketing and making sure that we over-deliver, right? And when we over-deliver and we give people what they need and what they want, satisfy, their pain, right? We help heal them.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, or provide a solution to whatever they need, then they're going to share. So that's number one. And then the other is we've got to create marketing plans. And so that's what I do, create marketing plan to reach out to my social media and to people in my social media. So everything it has a plan. I have a method that I teach in my course. It's called On-3 Marketing.
Okay.
And that's online, on land, and on you.
I like that.
Right?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Thank you, Miss Pamela. I am so happy that you joined me on Bridges Live. And, of course, you can always catch us on iHeart and Apple iTunes Radio and podcast stations across the United States, and catch you on the YouTube channel and drpaulholistic.science.com. But remember to reach out, ask the question, and specifically you people who want to be entrepreneurs who have not seen past what they have saw. This is the information you need. Dig yourself into the dirt, ask those questions, and plant those seeds. I'd like to thank you so much, Pamela, for joining me.
Thank you, Dr. Dyer. It's been a pleasure.